What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now. Now, ladies and gents, I thought I would do somewhat of a different video today, and I wanted to just discuss the current state of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm talking about the TCG. Now, what are your thoughts on the current state of the game? Is it healthy? Is it competitive? Is it diverse? Well, in my opinion, I think it's somewhat of a mix of those things and somewhat of a mix of others. Now, let me explain what I mean. Currently, I think that the meta game is actually quite good. There's a lot of decks running around. There's a lot of strategies that are viable. There's even rogue strategies that are quite viable in today's current meta game. However, if you are a going second deck, you are at a huge disadvantage, even more so than previously. Yes, you do have break by board style cards in the way of Forbidden Droplets, for example, Dark Ruler no more, but for the most part, going second is just not something that you want to do, bar a couple of going second strategies, dinosaurs being a very good example of that. Now, why I think it's not in the best or the most healthy situation is generic enablers. Now I'm talking about Crystron, Halki, Fibrax. Yes, everybody's Bane, everybody's thorn aside, because this card is literally everywhere. It's in every deck. It can be splashed into a multiple of decks, and the combos that it typically enables ends on the similar type of board. Now, yes, it does grant power to some of those rogue strategies, and it does grant more power to meta strategies, but what happens is, and I know House of Champs did a video on this going into great detail about it, it means that the uniqueness of each of the decks in the meta game is somewhat lost, because all of them end on a very similar board of like your Borreload Savage Dragon, your Herald of the Arclight, for example, plus whatever your deck was trying to do. Now, I think that's a little bit of a problem. It makes deck building, yes, it makes it a little bit easier because you can expect some certain things, but it just doesn't make for a nice, unique, diverse format, which is what Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion should be about. Now, I do know there are a few problems currently. The coronavirus is still running rampant. My locals have not even started back up. It was about to, and then we got told we're going into a second wave, so I can't even physically play Yu-Gi-Oh! Remote duels is not something that is applicable here because my locals aren't running it, so it's not being pushed universally. So Konami doesn't have any kind of like metadata to be able to pinpoint cards because they don't acknowledge online events. Now, on top of that, you have a lack of events and you have product releases. I think the product schedule for this year has been absolutely crazy, considering we haven't had no events. They're pushing product after product after product, sometimes within a week of each other, and this makes for some interesting purchases and interesting buys and interesting sales, but for the most part it means Konami's still trying to push product without any events, which means they're not really taking the ban list into consideration, which means you have very powerful cards in the meta game all existing at once, which in my opinion I don't think it should be like that. And for the most part, ladies and gents, going onto the ban list, I do think it did address some good or problematic decks, so to speak. However, I do think it was at the expense of trying to balance out the meta decks, at the expense of some of the rogue strategies. Yes, you can still play rogue strategies and be very successful depending on how you build your deck, but for the most part, with the hit to Call by the Grave, I do believe they got a little bit of a short change here, because a single hand trap could literally shut down some of the rogue strategies that have very linear plays, literally shut down their deck. Which I do think is a bit of a shame, because it discourages diversity. So you are just going to lean towards the meta decks that can play through multiple hand traps and still end on somewhat of a respectable board. So it is a bit interesting, ladies and gents, and I just wanted to gauge your thoughts on it. Definitely get at me in the comment section below. Tell me how you feel the meta game is and how you think it should be in the comment section. And as always, if you did enjoy this discussion, this content, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.